Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlicker, shills, debt slaves, serfs, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks, voters. I'm Useful Idiot. Welcome, and let's go to the good old USA. And one of the things that I noticed about this election that really leaves me perplexed is I thought for sure we would see rampant voter fraud, all kinds of election fraud, and rigging, and that the powers that be would. There was no way they would allow Trump to win, and we know that they would never allow Trump to win because everyone is in shock. So it's clear that they didn't just allow Trump to win. And so you can go into all the dynamics about voting blocks and who voted and who didn't, and supposedly the racism, white males that got Trump elected, although apparently quite a percentage of women continued to vote for Trump as well, as including record levels of blacks and Latinos for a Republican candidate. But anyway, and then also one has to factor in that 46.9% of Americans didn't even vote. So, and that's why I go back to these so-called Trump riots that are going on right now. I can't even imagine what the percentage of those people who didn't vote, particularly now that we have all these high school kids out there protesting as well, which is just silly. But so we have 46.9% of Americans didn't vote, and that's very telling in itself, particularly in an election of this magnitude, with this much drama and this much high profile. I mean, with that much drama, you still can't get another 46% of Americans out there to vote. So I don't know what the conclusion to that would be, or what how you correct that. But one of the other things about voting in this election that's interesting is, of course, the story that's come out that they've figured out that 3 million illegals voted in this election, and for the most part, they're assuming all those illegals voted for Hillary Clinton, and I think that's a pretty safe bet that most of the illegals that voted in this election voted for Hillary. So there's 3 million illegals that vote. So this whole idea of the popular vote for Hillary gets more blurred when one considers how many illegals voted illegally, as it were. So, but the bottom line is, then I have to ask myself, having been convinced all these years, particularly after the way these elections have played out, 2 stolen elections by the Obama administration, 2 stolen elections by the Bush administration, who knows how many stolen elections going further back, and just all the machinations we've seen that show that voting didn't really seem to count. And that's without getting into the Electoral College, and that's another discussion other people out there are having about the Electoral College, and I think the Electoral College is a good system. I didn't used to think so, but I have come to over the years, because I've seen the power structure of this country and the voting blocks, particularly in the area I lived, Seattle, Washington, where they have an inordinate amount of power. And so anyway, now I have to ask myself, wow, so voting actually works. Now we have confirmation that voting actually works. So that's a question to be asked. I'm not ready to say yes, apparently so, because there's so many other things involved. But of course, one has to beg if voting counts and these votes were allowed to get Trump elected, then was the election rigged? Was the election rigged? And was it rigged in favor of Trump for whatever reason? And that's another speculation that we've talked about. Of course, my pet theory or conspiracy theory is that they actually want Mike Pence, and that Trump's going to be bumped off and then Mike Pence will be president. But if anybody else has any conspiracy theories as to why the handlers would actually want Trump at this juncture, maybe they're going to finally have the next leg down the economy, and then they can blame it all on Trump. Maybe the economic collapse will finally come, and then they can have him be the whipping boy for that. There's another conspiracy theory. But other than that, one has to look at the fact, wow, does voting actually really work in the United States? Who would have thought? I'm a Useful Idiot. Don't you be one too?